Well, hey man, it's wonderful to meet you, Andrew. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So let's begin our journey into your work by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic changed our lives, business, personal, every aspect. How did you get through that COVID era, and how has it influenced or changed the way that you do things today?
Yeah, well, I would say from a business perspective, I guess I'll give a little bit of context and background here.
Sure.
My first job in my life, if you want to call it that, was I was a professional high stakes poker player. So I played poker on the internet.
Yeah.
And I had a whole community of people that I worked with and talked about poker with and so forth who were all remote. So when we started Digital Reach, we were already expecting to have it be remote. We had like my co-founders and I were all based in San Francisco at the time, so we're actually like living together. So there was sort of a home base in the Bay Area, but we were basically built a remote infrastructure from day one. I think our first employee was in Oregon, and so like that kind of thing was spread out. So we were actually in a kind of advantageous position when COVID hit. All these other competitive agencies or other parties who were not prepared for a remote first work environment, had to spend a bunch of time learning how to like solve a bunch of the challenges we'd already solved. Like how do you deal with remote like culture in a remote company, or how do you do like good communication practices or whatever it might be. So actually, COVID was an area of like dramatic growth for us, where we actually kind of like seized a market opportunity. And then also a lot of our clients, I mean, we functionally work with like technology companies in the B2B space, most of whom were able to continue business relatively unencumbered. And so like our kind of our niche and our kind of existing business cycle was pretty resilient.
So let's get into the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. And to do that, kids always get the truth out of us. I'm going to put you in front of 12-year-olds. It's career day. You're at a school. You walk in the room, and the kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Yeah. Well, I would say we work on like taking an idea and turning it into something that you can buy, basically. We bring things to market. And so there's obviously many different ways that could be. It could be anything from like a candy bar to something very complicated. We tend to work with the very complicated things. That's kind of where we operate. And so we only work with businesses who are trying to sell things to other businesses. But that's kind of our whole thing. It's like, how do you start from something that's like just an idea? Like, how will I help someone? And you convert that idea all the way through this whole process where it becomes, okay, well, now we need to learn how to talk about how we're going to help someone. And then it's like, well, now we need to like show somebody in a visual or an image or a color, like how we're going to help them. And then from there, it's like, oh, we have all this information now about who we're trying to work with and who we're trying to sell to. Like we had to like organize that and store it. And then ultimately at the end of all this, it's like we're going to then get our message out, which is to say we're going to go, in the virtual world, we're going to go door to door and we're going to, wherever you spend your time online, like we're going to try to show it to you, our message, but only if it's relevant to you. Like we don't want to show our message to you if you are not interested in that kind of thing. So it's kind of a game to figure out like where are the people that we want to work with and how do we show our message to them.
So let me ask you this. What did you want to be at 12 years old when you were sitting in that seat at career day and you were thinking about a dream life, a dream gig? What was it for you?
Well, I think I always, I don't think that I was so specific as to what I wanted as like a job, if that makes sense. Like, I think I was always somebody who liked to test the boundaries of systems. And so I probably would have told you at 12 that I wanted to be the president. But I would say what I really wanted to do always was just kind of to be able to do things independently. So I've never really worked for an employer. I have, partner relationships with my clients. I have my relationships with my team members internally, but I think it was always just most important to me to like kind of live independently. Um, and I think that manifested itself in many ways, like many different types of quote unquote jobs where I was just like basically got to solve puzzles and, create value for other people and then ultimately get paid for it. So I don't know if I had like a perfect answer for that, only that like I probably was always just trying to find my way out of having to wake up too early in the morning.
So, where were you born and raised? Where did everything begin for you?
Yeah, I grew up outside of Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Is where I was born in California, but I was grew up outside of Portland, and I would say even from I was the youngest. I had two older brothers, and even from a pretty early age, I was like trying to like navigate systems. Like, how do I deal with my brothers who are very talkative, like eating all the oxygen in the room? Like, how do I get attention? And then it was like, I'm in school and I don't really want to do this paper. Like, how could I finagle a way of not doing the paper but still getting good grades? Like, one of the classic examples of this is like my high school, if you got an 89.5%, that rounded to an A minus, which was worth the same as 100% A plus. There's
Yeah.
no difference in the like GPA. So I just started angling all of my grades to hit exactly 89.5%. Like sometimes I would literally even like do the math. It's like, oh, okay, I've got enough, points so far this term. I'll just skip everything else because I'll get if I skip everything, I'll get exactly 89.5 and that's fine. So I was always kind of like playing the game. Um, and yeah, then after living the West Coast my whole life, went to the Northeast for college, wanted something different, got it. It was cold. I eventually bailed out and went to California and lived there for like 9 years, which is sort of where Digital Reach was founded and kind of how I got my start in business.
So who's been that hero? Who's been that inspirational force that's urged you to find your voice, your business footing, where you are, where you've evolved to today? Who's been that for you?
Hmm. I mean, I would say it's a constant process. The first name that came to my mind is I have an outstanding business coach. He is a professor, like a business school professor in New Michigan, and has he has an approach that was like very surprising to me. Like it was very almost like hippie. It was like very I mean he's a very clean cut, like professional looking business school professor, right? Like he looks like you, right? Like button down and all the nice like that kind of thing. And here he is asking me questions like, well, like where do you feel this situation in your body? And like if you were to put a a color to this feeling, like what color would it be? And I was really skeptical at first of this. But eventually what he sort of pulled out of me was like um, a sense of like what it would mean to be really great at what I do and what it would mean to be really great for our company. Like what would our company be like if it was really great? And I think it was kind of cool to see that like those things were just kind of hidden inside of myself. And so yeah, I guess my coach would be the first person to come to mind, but many people, inspire me in my life. My wife inspires me, like my business partners, my friends, like I have many inspirations, but that was the first one from a business side that really came to my mind.
So when you were a kid, what was the best product rollout? What was the most impressive product placement or invention or campaign that you witnessed that maybe subconsciously was an influence on the way that you approach business now?
Ooh, trying to think of how far back to go. But I mean, as a kid, I remember, like as a young kid, I remember Nintendo 64. And I remember like when that came out, it was like this was like everything else was not negotiable. Like this was the thing that like you had to have. And I mean, Nintendo's just an incredible company in how they have somehow managed to like offer a product that stays relevant to both the kids that they're selling it to and then the kids as they grow up as adults. Like we still love it. Like we're still playing video games in my house, And so it's I think that was like they'd captured something really special. But I think actually the kind of core thing is that I would draw from that is like Nintendo is very um authentically themselves. They don't try to copy the like there's a period where like okay PlayStation and like these kind of these first person shooters became really popular like the Grand Theft Autos and the Halo and like that kind of stuff was becoming really popular. Nintendo was just like not our lane. We know what we do. Our games are silly and fun. And it was like they clearly just like have that section of the market absolutely cornered and they don't try to be something they're not. They're just really good at what they do. And they're sort of their branding is so amazing. Like you would like a Nintendo character immediately. Like Mario is like Mario is such a universal brand that people like dress up at Halloween like Mario. You know what I mean? Like it's so I think there was something there. I probably couldn't have identified it at the time, like what was so special about it. But now as somebody who works in marketing and branding, like you see like, wow, this is a really deep sense of authenticity. They really know who they are. They know who they're trying to sell to. And they've like leaned really hard into that. And yeah, you could probably write a dissertation on like why Nintendo's brand is so amazing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Being in this modern world and running a business, especially with what you're doing with digital reach and getting to people, you have to stay on top of things. Things change fast, but especially with AI. We're in a new level of speed right now. What gets you up every day? What bounds you out of bed when the alarm goes off to do a good job, to stay on top of things, to evolve, to take care of your soul, all of those things that make you effective. What is that energy for you every day?
I mean, I would say lately it has been like a sense of competition. Like I really want to win. I want our company to be by far better than our competitors. Um, and I can see areas where we are, and I can see areas where we're not. And so part of me wants to jump out. I would also say like 2024 was a very, I've been kind of public about how 2024 was a super difficult year for the company. Basically, like a large section of our clients are like well-funded startups. Their deal is basically like, hey, we've raised 50 million, 100 million, something like that, and now we need to burn it to get to our next round, which we're going to try to raise 200 million or something like that. When the interest rates go up, all of that business model starts to fall apart, and it's no longer like, oh, we're gonna shoot for the next raise because no one knows if the next raise is even possible at the current rates. And so there's a bit of a lag time, but when the federal interest rates went up in 2023, basically quite high, um, in 2024, eventually that hit our clients and they basically all fired us. Like, not all of our clients, obviously, were still around and like they didn't fire us with prejudice. Like, they generally like were like, hey, we love you, but we don't have any money anymore. And so there was kind of a real down moment at the end of last year. It was like, oh, geez, like, I don't know, like it seems like we're doing a good job. Like, it seems like we're working hard, but we're just getting kicked in the teeth all the time. And I think something about that experience like kind of woke a thing up in me that was like, well, I really want to compete. Like, I'm tired of getting kicked in the face. Like, I want to go win. And thankfully, this year has been much better. Like, we've had a really, really good year this year. Uh, but it was, I think, like something really competitive. And the other side of it is like being competing with your team.
Yeah.
Like, we have an unbelievably good team. And so like getting up every day and being like, all right, I'm gonna go tackle this with my people is it's very inspiring to see other people kind of kill it and do their thing really well. So yeah, I would say competition, some mix of like being like on a team and going to compete.
So, is there anyone in the world of business, entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives? Is there somebody that you would love to meet, have a lunch with, talk to that might help you on your path?
I mean, yeah, like tons and tons of people. Um, Honestly, the name he's now passed away, obviously, but like Steve Jobs was someone that I had spent a lot of time like reading about and thinking about. And like there's like little anecdotes from his story. I mean, he was like a tough son of a bitch. Like, he was not like a friendly guy a lot of the time. But I think there was um like a clarity, super competitive, first of all. Like, that guy was like, winning was the only option. But the other thing is he kind of had a clarity of vision where it was like he had inspired. We talk about motivation a lot right now in my company, where like there's like a level one motivation going to work, which is like, I do this for a paycheck. In that sense, it is a commodity. Like, my job is a commodity. Like, it is the same as any other job to me. And like, I will do exactly what I'm being paid for and I'll do nothing more. Then there's a second level of motivation that's like, I really care about the people around me. Like, maybe I care about my manager or my coworker or whatever. And so like, even though I'm not going to get paid for this extra hour of work, like, I know that would really help them out. I know that would help me if I needed it. And so like, I'll do a little bit more. And I think you can build a great company off of the second level. Um, but there's a third level, which is like, I'm inspired by something, some ideal. There's something that this company is doing that is um, like makes me want to go do it by myself, and just even if I wasn't getting paid for it, like, I would want to do this thing. And I think you see that with like you saw that with Apple, where like people were like, we're trying to like, computers aren't really a thing, but we like can see the potential of what a computer could do, and like we're gonna get up in the morning and go bust ass just for that. I think you see it with like SpaceX. Like, people are like, I am a rocket scientist who believes we can live on Mars in my, and so like I am I am like this is an urgent mission to go like make humanity a multi planet species. And so it is like there are these kinds of things like that. So I would think talking to someone like Steve Jobs would be like very inspiring to get a picture of like, well, what is that character, that charisma that makes people be like, wow, I believe in this vision so much that like, I mean, in his case, like people were just like tolerating getting yelled at, getting berated, like working all-nighters, like getting told that their products suck, that they suck, and all this stuff. And they kind of worked through it because it was like, wow, this vision is so compelling. I don't want to be like kind of an asshole like Steve Jobs was, but like I do want to inspire my team that way. So I'd be very curious about that.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into that 16-year-old version of you in the house you grew up in, and you run into that version and you give them a book of like a coffee table book, and they're
Mm.
looking through it and it's your life, everything that you've lived up to this point. Would that version of you believe it?
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be like, like there's an idealized, I was a very idealistic young person, and so I think there's like an idealized version of what you think life will be like. That is what you see in movies or read in books. And I think the actuality of it is just like a lot more gray. There's a lot more struggle and there's a lot more like learning and overcoming, and like your path is not as straight as you think it is. And so I think as a 16-year-old, I might have been like, wow, like I I would have thought things would have been easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But but I think, in a almost like poetic way, like all the best stuff happens when it's because it's hard.
yeah.
And so I think that would have been an interesting conversation to have with 16-year-old me.
Yeah. So let's say you walk into a room of everybody that you've worked with throughout the years, businesses, um, clients, colleagues, everyone that's known you in a business sense, and you walk into a room, go to a podium, and you can tell them one fun story about you. Like the first time you went to a concert, the coolest place that you traveled to, jumping out of an airplane, outrunning a bear, a fun story that would humanize you, that would cast you in a different light to all of these people that know you in a business sense. What would be a fun story you would tell that room?
Well, I'm known in my family and my friends as a storyteller. And I feel like I should have like thousands of these off the top of my head. But give me a minute and I'll think of one that I think maybe like encapsulates me.
Okay.
Um, hmm, feel on the spot.
Well, let's do this. Let's segue into something else here. Of
Sure, sure.
everything that you've done, everything you've evolved to and become at this point in your life and accomplished, what are you the proudest of?
Hmm. I mean, the first thing I would say is just like first thing comes to my mind is like my marriage.
Yeah.
Like I think feel kind of, I mean, I'm recently married, so I'm in the literal honeymoon phase right now. So
Yeah.
it's, I'm biased for sure, but it certainly feels like something that I had like aspired to have a great marriage my whole life, and like now I'm in it and it's pretty great. So I think I would say that's one thing that comes to my mind. Um, Honestly, man, I feel proud of a ton of stuff. I'm like a big community builder, and I feel like we built a great community here at Digital Reach. I've built like a great community external to Digital Reach. And I think like I've had the opportunity to just like do a bunch of incredible community events. And I think I'm really proud of the work that I do in that modality. So, and maybe even like, my marriage is a big part of that. Like it's our community helped foster the relationship, and the relationship helped support the community. So I think yeah, I think that's probably what I'm most proud of.
So at the end of the day, Andrew, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone that works on your team, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Well, it's a deep question, man. Um, I think I think I am equal parts of my mom and dad. I think my dad is like a very thoughtful, cerebral, strategic person. And I think my mom is very passionate and emotional, and it's very important for her to like get everything right and get everyone like to get everyone together on the same page to do something good. And so I think I kind of carry with me some of the intensity and some of the strategy. Um, and so I think, at the bottom of all of it, I'm just like everyone else, man. I just want to be loved, just want to like be successful, and have things go well. But I think I try to be a mix of like, okay, we're strategic, we're playing the game, like we're playing hard, but we don't lose sight of the things that are really important in life, and that's like about being supported, being happy, being healthy, being together, that kind of stuff.
So anybody out there that's energized, ready for questions, ready to hire you, ready for anything and everything in regards to what you're doing with your business, where do they go?
Well, easiest place to get in touch with me is just go to my LinkedIn, which is LinkedIn-Andrew-Seidman or LinkedIn/Andrew-Seidman. You just find me on there. You can also go to our website if you want to work with us. Like we have all of our info there. We actually just installed a really cool like AI interface on our website. So you can just go ask it questions and learn some stuff about us or get in contact with us there. But yeah, I check my DMs on LinkedIn. Feel free to shoot me a note. Always happy to talk to people.
Right on. Andrew, this has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your story. Best of luck.
Appreciate it, Joe. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. You bet.